Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Therapy Get You Some. I first must admit that this episode almost didn't happen. I have been struggling this week. If you're looking at me on YouTube, you can even see my struggle bun. I am embarking on a new journey. Some of you may know, some of you may not, that I am in the program to get my doctorate in social work. And of course, anytime you do something new, there's a lot of emotions that come up. There's a lot of challenges, and I always say without challenge, there's no change. But when you're actually experiencing the challenge, you forget about the change and it becomes really difficult. So this has been a difficult week for me, and to the point where I almost didn't even do the podcast. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give it up. It's too much. I have so much on my plate, something has to go. And, 5 minutes ago, my spirit wouldn't let me rest. So I decided, okay, I'll make a short episode this week. So it's not going to be my typical episode. This one is not really planned like I normally would plan one. This is just going to be me doing real talk. So, real talk, I'm struggling. Real talk. I have been struggling with imposter syndrome since I started this journey. I know what I know, but I also am very aware there's a lot I don't know. And when you get to this level of education, everybody, this is the top of the game. So everybody here is at the top. So I've been struggling with trying to make sure that I belong. And, just it's that internal dialogue of who are you to think you belong here that I'm struggling with. I'm winning the struggle, and I'll tell you how. Because it's of my faith. So the way I'm winning the struggle is because I constantly am connecting back to God and reminding myself that this isn't me who put myself here. This was God calling me to do this. And so as long as I continue to stay faithful, I know I'm going to win. But I'm still struggling. Uh, I'm struggling because I've been out of school for over 20 years and trying to write a paper uh, that, everybody's like, oh, remember in grad school when you wrote a paper? No, I don't. No, I've been doing clinical work for over 20 years. If you put a client in front of me right now, I can do that no problem. You put 20 boxes of research in front of me, and, I'm somewhere between wanting to cry and knowing I can do it. So, um, I'm just trying to like encourage myself through this podcast. And hopefully, like just being honest and vulnerable will encourage others. Anytime you have a new challenge, you're going to feel some tension. So I wrote a note to myself, like earlier in the program, I wrote a note to myself to remind myself when you get that feeling of tension, pay attention and pay attention to what it is, the thought processes that are causing the feeling, because that's where the growth is. That's where the growth is going to happen. Again, it's difficult because you still feel the tension. Like I personally, I'm still feeling the tension. I'm still feeling that level of stress that all the coping skills I have aren't helping as much as they normally would because of the internal dialogue. So what I'm actively doing now through talking to you guys is changing my internal dialogue. I'm changing the words that I'm saying, to myself about myself. Because most of it isn't true. And I know I'm not the only one, that's why I'm talking about it. Most of the time it's something that it's fear. Again, as you level up, things change. And like I said, change and growth, they're challenging. So, I could easily go rest back in the comfort level of seeing clients and doing the what I would consider normal thing that I'd always done. But I want to get to the next level. And so this is requiring me to change. Um, just remembering who I am has been so important. So again, a lot of people who do know me, they know I'm way in Minnesota. I'm a New Orleans girl in Minnesota. I don't even know what I'm doing here. My first day here, I was like really worried that I was going to be the only Black person in my program. I'm not the only one. That helped a lot. But it's still, this is like culture shock. Finding the foods that I like has been difficult. Uh, just even the way that we communicate is so different because I speak New Orleans. Everybody else speaks English in the world. So those are things that I have to like constantly remember when I'm here to not change, because there's nothing wrong with being a New Orleans girl. But when you take you out of context, sometimes it gets a little confusing to others. And so I find myself often trying to like explain, like, well, back home, this is what we do, or this is normal for us. So those are the things that like I'm personally struggling with, but I also know that growth is happening. And so I just kind of want to jump on real quick because I have a 25-page paper due in less than 48 hours. So I don't have a long time to do a podcast this week, but I didn't want to not do anything. So I just said, well, you know what? Today is just going to be real talk. Real talk. I miss my family. Real talk. Uh, I sometimes feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway. My professor mentioned getting lost in the weeds and knowing you're going to come out, or trust the process is basically what she was saying. That sounds good. And I probably said that to somebody, to any one of my clients that I've ever said that to, I apologize. That gives you no comfort to say, hey, trust the process. On the other side, you're going to be great. When you're going through it, there's no comforting words. So the reality is, instead of seeking comfort, lean into the uncomfortableness. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, lean into the stuff that is making me feel uncomfortable so that I can push through it and break through it. Things that about myself that I've learned in the last 2 weeks since I've been in this intensive part of the program is I am a perfectionist. Didn't know I was a perfectionist. Now, if you're watching the video, you're probably saying, there's no way you're a perfectionist. Look at that struggle bun. Yeah, it's not perfect. But when I'm trying to turn in something for work wise, I am a perfectionist. I want it to be right. Like turning in a rough draft, I want that to be my final draft. I want you to send it back with no changes. And I know that I'm not perfect, but I try my hardest to do my best. And so there's a line between being committed to excellence and being a perfectionist. And I found out I crossed it a lot. And so I'm trying to pull back. Also, I can run 100 miles an hour, but I run out of steam. And so I can only, I probably do better if I just try to keep myself at an even 75 and take the long road. But I like to just like run straight at a problem. But with this type of work and this type of research, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to get through a dissertation trying to finish it all in one night. And so learning how to touch something, pause, and come back to it with the same level of enthusiasm and the same level of commitment, that's something I realized I didn't have. And I'm learning how to grow and to do that. I'm also learning that I am capable of making friends, diverse friends, because back at home in New Orleans, I have kind of like-minded individuals, and it's great. But being here, it's a program again, and it's in Minnesota, but it's also people from all over, all over the country, all over outside of the country. So getting information from outside of your area it's it challenges your thinking, but in the best way possible. So I am growing as far as my knowledge base and growing as far as the things that I'm being exposed to in the best way possible. So those are the things that, I just strongly suggest anybody who gets the opportunity to get education outside of the area that you're in. And, I keep talking about New Orleans because I'm a New Orleans girl, but wherever you're from, if you get that opportunity to take it, because you don't realize the things that you don't know until you are confronted with them. And that's uncomfortable too, to be like, okay, I don't know that word. Or there's oftentimes I'm talking with my peers, I'm Googling words that we just don't use commonly in our language. Uh, but it's, again, I call this the summer of growth. I am totally experiencing it. And growth is painful, but growth is necessary. I feel like at this point I'm rambling, probably because my thoughts are still on my paper. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna log off. Next week we'll be back to like the regular format because this is the intensive part of the program where we onboarding. I will update everyone along the way for this journey because You guys are coming along as I go from being Candice to Dr. Candice. So stay tuned and we're out. Bye.